Everyone, this is Paula Raja, and today I'm going to talk about the cooperative language learning with the help of my classmates Melissa Esquivel Rodriguez and Justin Falla Solera. The cooperative language learning, or CLL, is part of a more instructional approach, also known as collaborative learning, or CL. This approach focuses on using small group and pair activities to the max during the learning process, so that students depend on the interaction and exchange of information between them to learn, increasing self and group learning. Another characteristic is that the CL crosses mainstream education and second or foreign language teaching. A little bit of the background: on the 20th century, this approach was promoted by the American educator John Dewey by including the idea of building cooperation in classrooms. This approach was developed and spread in the US during the 1960s and 1970s as a response of the forced integration of the public education. Traditional models of classrooms were more teacher-oriented instead, and they were focused more in competition rather than cooperation. Some of the aims that this cooperative learning had back then were raising the achievement of all the students, helping the teacher to build positive relationships among students, giving the students the experiences they need for healthy social, psychological, and cognitive development, and replacing the competitive organizational structure with a team-based and high-performance organizational structure.
As for the CLL design, well, first of all will be the objectives that will be foster communication rather than competition, to develop critical thinking skills and communicative competence. This means that they don't make students compete with each other, but rather help each other with this kind of kind of develop of the language skills and in extends any other topic that they're looking at. The syllabus in the CLL, they does not use a syllabus per se. They instead use a variety of activities in skill set, call it grammar, punctuation, pronunciation, or vocabulary. There's also the types of learning activities that they will use. First, it will be the formal cooperative learning groups. There will be lasting groups that will last from one class to several weeks and is established for a specific task and will have students working together to get to an objective. For the informal cooperative learning groups is a more kind of relaxed group. It will be last for one class to a few minutes and is to facilitate learning process directed by them. Then there's the cooperative based groups that is not the same the last one. It will be lasting at least a year and it works with heterogeneous groups or in other words groups that have different levels of English speaking or English management in general. Some key elements of the success of the CLL would be the positive independence, group formation, individual accountability, social skills, and structuring and structures. There are three types of learning cooperative tasks. First, it will be team practice for common input. That this is for all students working the same materials. Practice could follow a traditional teacher-directed presentation of the new topics. This meaning that when a new subject is presented, the teacher directs the class and then lets them do the work. The task works so you make sure all students are on the same page. When the professor can call anyone to answer questions. This works for review, practice, test, and usually the groups takes practice together and eventually they go individual. Um, works for situations of where the composition of the group is unstable. This meaning that they won't work with the same person every day. The jigsaw will be that each student have a different piece of information. Each group is integrated by students for the similar with similar information, so they can teach that information to the rest of the class. The students won't teach everything that they have. Actually, this is pretty similar to what we do now. That is, we synthesize information and then show it to the rest. Each group produce a wave to clarify group work. This meaning that they will make some sort of activity so the rest of the group can work on it. This actually needs to be required to have some team building activities beforehand so they can meet each other. It's a useful method to multi-level class so everyone meets someone from a different level on what they're doing. For cooperative projects, each group have a different project, a different topic, but each individual teammate inside the group have the same information so they can teach the rest of the class. There's a steering committee, this meaning that there will be a person who directs the class and then people who present. The students could be doing research by different tools like internet, encyclopedias, the library, all those kind of things will help the students do the research. Some examples for these CLL activities are three-step reviews, roundtables, think per share, solve per share, and number heads.
We continue with learner roles. In a group, the primary character of a learner is to be a collaborative classmate. Learners are actively involved as the directors of their own learning by planning, monitoring, and evaluating. On the other hand, teachers are expected to be the facilitators of the class. The teacher has to create a highly structured and well-organized learning environment. This can be accomplished by planning and structuring tasks, setting goals. The teacher must be a feedback and encouragement giver. And of course, the teacher must control class conflict, observe students, and supply different resources. Diverse authors and investigations have brought the fact that teachers' roles can be mainly exposed by the following steps. Step A. To structure cooperatively existing lessons and sources. Step B. To adequate the class not only to the teacher's specific needs, but also to his or her students. And finally, step C. To diagnose problems for an effective intervention. Additionally, we have the role of instructional materials. Materials create diverse opportunities for a cooperative learning. This can be seen when the teacher arranges his or her class and gives out different sets of materials. And also, it is important to mention that the materials can be especially for the class or they can be borrowed. To understand how the procedure works, we are going to follow an example given by the reading. It goes in the following way. The first step is that the teacher is going to arrange pairs, having one good reader in the pair. The second step is that student A describes what she or he wants to write about, while student B listens carefully, and when student A is finished, student B gives the appropriate outline based on the commented ideas. The third step is that the roles are reversed. For the fourth step, an individual research of the needed material is done, and each student has in mind what can be also useful for the other. The fifth step is that both students work together on the writing of each first paragraph. This to ensure that both of them have a clear start on their compositions. Step 6 is that the composition is done individually. Step 7, once the compositions are done, the students proofread them. They make corrections about capitalizations, punctuation, spelling, and so on. For step 8, the students revise the compositions. And for the last step, the students reread each other's compositions and sign their names, which indicates that both contents are error-free. We would like to conclude that group activities are the backbone for the cooperative language learning. They are thoughtfully planned to maximize students' interactions and contributions to the class. This learning can also be used along with other methods and approaches.
The question that we have for you all is that now that we have all reviewed this approach, which are some of the pros and cons of the cooperative language learning, and why is it important to apply this learning as a teacher? For the activity, we brought an activity named Think, Pair, and Share. The purpose of this activity is to ensure maximum discussion within a group. Each student here will be held accountable. The objective is that students share their thoughts, feelings, and information on a topic with each other and with a large group. For the procedure, students will be instructed to individually think about a question or prompt for a few minutes. Then, with a partner, they will discuss the prompt and each person's opinions on the subject for a few more minutes. And finally, we will let each pair share their large group their conclusion on the topic.